Hi guys, my name is Marcel, and today you're not going to learn how to draw like a sir, because today is a very special video because I'm going to show you my very best artworks from this past year, 2021. It's an annual ritual I'm doing on my German channel where I'm going to show you my very best drawings from this year. As you might know, I tried learning watercolor this year, so almost all of these artworks are made in watercolor. What's also going to be special about these videos is I'm going to show you how I've made these artworks because I've recorded and streamed almost all of them. Don't worry, I'll be making a new tutorial very soon, but in the meantime, you can watch my tutorial on watercolors. I wanted to make more videos about coloring, but barely anyone watches these videos, so if you want to give him some love, I'd be happy about it. So yeah, let's go. In this folder there's almost 100 different artworks. Of course I can show them all to you because this video would be like hours long and nobody would watch that. But if you're interested in seeing all of my artworks, you can check out my art books. I've made them available on my online shop. They contain 150 pages of all of my very best artworks. So let's jump right in. This artwork was the very first one that I tried drawing landscapes or painting landscapes with watercolor. As you might recognize, this is an homage to Assassin's Creed 1. I've never played it before, and back in January I finally played it. And since a lot of watercolor paintings are typically landscape paintings, I thought, why not try this out? I've never tried this before with watercolors, and I like the end result. I used hot pressed paper with this one. After that I switched to cold pressed paper, so this artwork was more of an exercise than anything, because I tried learning how to, how to make colored shadows with this one. It was a nice practice, but I think it isn't like the best artwork I've ever done or something. I just took it in here because I have fond memories of it. As you might have guessed, following artworks are mostly fan art about anime, like this one. This is a fan art of Attack on Titan, and actually I streamed this one live on Twitch, which was not a good idea because the first attempt of this artwork flopped, like incredibly bad. I didn't know how to use cold press paper at first, I didn't know how to prepare it. So yeah, I failed before a live audience, and then after that I tried attempting it a second time, but this time not with the live audience, just without any pressure, and this time I think it succeeded quite good. It's still pretty basic stuff, but I think you can see kind of a progress here. I also tried using distinct watercolor techniques, like lifting the color right here, so you can have kind of a spotlight effect, which is pretty cool. I think I started dabbling in these watercolor techniques. The techniques are pretty basic, but I think you can see how I'm slowly advancing my techniques with incorporating things like, watercolor lifting. Next up is a double spread page. In case you're confused, these aren't characters from any anime series, these are my original characters from my manga series that I made. Initially I wanted to have them full colored, but then I decided against it because this would make this color effect pop a lot more. I also think the details come off a bit crisper this way, and my favorite thing about these artworks is gotta be the background. The watercolor almost looks like ink here in this background. I'm so glad I decided against making this full color and just painted it in black and white. Also, in case you're curious, volume 1 of my manga series is finally available in English. Just like my art books, it's available in my online shop. Next artworks are fan art again. I think most of you are familiar with The Legend of Zelda. I didn't make this artwork because I played Zelda at the time or something. I wanted to make a nice homogeneous background with bright green colors and, like a forest theme, and The Legend of Zelda was just such a no-brainer as a motive. And so yeah, I think this worked out pretty good. Also here again with the watercolor lifting, I tried incorporating that, so you can kind of have these sun rays shining down on Zelda. I think Zelda's looking pretty good. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I know he's named Link. I played most of the Zelda games. I know he's named Link. If you're taking a closer look, you can also see how I first incorporated gouache with this. The flare on the sword, maybe. Also the sparkles on Navi. Some of the bright leaves. I didn't ever use gouache before, which was kind of worrying because I didn't know how it would behave. But I think in the end it did come off quite good. On the right side you also have not a fan art but also some original content. This is Poseidon, also kind of main character of the manga series I drew. And I think the first time I really tried rendering skin in this much detail. And I think I kinda pushed my limit here, because as you can see, this paper format is A4, so it's a kind of a medium-sized paper format. Maybe the skin would have looked a bit better if I made it on just a bigger paper size on general, but I think I shouldn't be as nitpicky. This came off quite good. I also especially like the water splash texture in the background. It's not just one flat blue color, but it kind of has a bit of texture. Maybe you can't quite see this through the camera, but I think it came off quite good. There's also kind of a purple glow that's quite subtle, but you can see it if you're looking for it. And I think I didn't print this one in my art book because I think I just forgot about it. I think I just didn't find the right place to place it in. There were like double spread pages with landscapes, there were double spread pages with like red motifs, and I think I just had no page where I could place this one. But yeah, let's just see from the bright side. Now you have something that's exclusively in this video that's not in the art book. Now that's the moment you guys have been waiting for. This has to be the most liked artwork that I've ever put on Instagram and Twitter. People absolutely lost their mind over this one. It's not my favorite. I know you guys like the perspective, you guys like the coloring on this. I didn't think it was that special, to be honest, but most people said this was like the best artwork I've ever did. It's of course one of the 3 Yu-Gi-Oh artworks I did this year, and I'm happy you guys liked it so much. I didn't think the coloring was all that special. I think the most impressive thing to most people was just the perspective, the foreshortening. But I've also made a video on this where I explained how the magic behind this works. So I didn't expect people to like this artwork as much as they did, but of course, I'm very happy you guys enjoy my art. It doesn't matter which piece of art, I'm just happy you guys enjoy my art in general. So yeah, don't worry, I'm aware you guys like this piece, so of course it's also gonna be included in my art book. And speaking of Yu-Gi-Oh, like I said, I made 3 pieces of Yu-Gi-Oh art, and this is the second one. This is YuGiOh from Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds, and this might be a very unpopular opinion, but I think the watercolor in this one works a lot better, because if you're unfamiliar, this dragon in the background is called the Stardust Dragon, and I think with this watercolor texture, and also the little sprinkles with gouache I've added, made this look like actual Stardust. So I think the use of watercolor is much better incorporated here, but of course that's something completely subjective. There's also a third Yu-Gi-Oh artwork I made. I didn't like it as much as I like these 2. If you're interested, you can check out my Instagram or Twitter. I posted them there as well. But this video is gonna be about my very best artworks from this year, and I didn't include it because I don't consider it one of my best ones. Now we're gonna enter the artworks that are my personal favorite amongst my favorites. This Pokemon artwork has to be like one of my, if not my favorite from this year. I just like everything about this artwork, the way it turned out, the colors I've used for it, the gestures, like some little Easter eggs I've incorporated. There is absolutely nothing that I would change about this artwork. This one just has a special place in my heart. I'm so proud of it. In my small art book, like a sketch, I've even made like a small tutorial on this one. I know the tutorial is completely in German, so most of you probably won't understand this without using Google Translate, but I just needed a way to elevate this artwork because I needed a way to show how important this artwork is to me. Even when I painted this one on stream, I said something along the lines of, if the coloration doesn't suck, this is probably gonna be my favorite artwork. And speaking of fan art, the next one's the complete opposite. The Pokemon fan art was pretty bright. This one's gonna be pretty dark. My main objective here was to make the sky kind of bleed out of the frame here. Maybe you can spot it if you're looking closely. There's also some little Easter eggs and details. My favorite amongst them being Roxas wielding 2 ice creams. You know what I'm talking about if you played Kingdom Hearts. Now this one's a special one because this one was a commission from Amazon Prime Video to be exact. Amazon commissioned me with drawing an Evangelion from, of course, the Evangelion series, because the very last Evangelion movie aired, and for that occasion they wanted me to make an Evangelion artwork and post it online. Gotta be quite honest here, this one also isn't very special to me. Maybe it's because of all the pressure, because it had to be good. Of course, it's commission, it's a big thing for Amazon, so it had to be good. But amongst my community, this also is considered one of the fan favorites. I also had to be very careful with approaching this one, because painting robots with watercolor isn't something you typically do, because watercolor is such a wild, natural medium. You can't draw something stiff like robots with this. So I kind of walked the middle ground on this. I drew the robot with cross-hatching initially. Maybe I can throw up some scan I made before I colored it. I think it's quite a shame that the cross-hatching doesn't come off as good. The color kind of takes away from it, but that's not that bad, because I think the red color also pops very good, and having this artwork made in black and white would also be a bit lackluster. So I'm quite happy with the way it turned out. It's just not amongst my, you know, top 5 or something. Now the penultimate one that I'm going to show you is this piece here from Chainsaw Man. I'm a big Chainsaw Man fan, even before it was so hyped the way it is right now. I've already drawn Denji, so here I drew Makima. And make no mistake, this artwork is a lot more detailed than you initially might think. I think my favorite thing about this artwork is the way I drew the chains, because if you look closely you can see the chains only appear in the blood. This was a very tricky thing to do. It wasn't as easy as you might think, and dollars to donuts, most of the people looking at this artwork don't even notice details like this. So yeah, this artwork has a lot of these details. I planned this artwork through and through from the beginning to the end before I started it, because if you want to paint something like this with watercolors, you need to plan this beforehand. This isn't like drawing on a tablet where you can just Control Z that shit. So this artwork took ages to make, but I think it was completely worth it. Also, if you're wondering why the blood in this background looks so organic, that's because it actually ran over this paper. It was kind of a scary experience, but that's just the only way I think this would have looked this organic. Painting this by hand, I think wouldn't have looked as good. And while we're at the topic of painting red motifs, this Hitachi artwork is the last small artwork I have. I painted this one 3 separate times. You heard right, 3 separate times. Because there was always something that bugged me, something I didn't like about it, and it was now in hindsight completely worth it, but back in like May when I painted this, I hated its guts. Looking at this artwork gave me PhD. No. What was... It wasn't PhD. PTSD, right there. Yeah, right, because my artworks are so good, when you look at them you instantly get a PhD. Yeah, no, old snark aside, I kinda hated this artwork. But now in hindsight, I really like the vibe this gives off. And yeah, these were like the smaller artworks, size A4. Let's jump over to the bigger artworks. What you're seeing here is the very first A3 sized watercolor artwork that I've ever made. In case you don't know, this is like 40 centimeters wide, or for all of you Imperial heathens, it's like 15.7 inches. If you played the very first Pokemon in 96. If you played the very first Pokemon Red or Blue version, you might recognize this color palette. I tried extremely hard mimicking this color palette. You know, the way Blastoise and Charizard are completely monochrome. The Pokeballs on display are green. Even like the little statue I remember from the game is like, you know, the way I remember it might look a bit silly. But this artwork is all about sending a love letter to the very first champion fight you have in Pokemon Red and Blue. And this makes it like among one of my favorites. I also just... a little FYI, I have this folder on display when I go on conventions, and when I go on conventions and people flip through this folder, they always stop at this motive, and this makes me extremely happy because it's always such a nice feeling when people have the same favorites that I do. So it's always nice watching people looking for the details and kind of scanning my picture on all the little Easter eggs I put in. Another artwork I wanted to show you is this Metroid fan art I did like back in October, like 2 months ago, when Metroid Dread released. I like Metroid, it's like my favorite franchise from Nintendo, because I like this horror game vibe it has. So this artwork is a mixed media artwork I made with Copics and colored pencils. In case you're interested in like what special colored pencils I use, I linked them all on my website. There's like a link down here. I also might have linked it on the top right corner. Just check it out if you're interested. And painting with watercolors, I kind of forgot how it feels like to actually render an artwork. Like, rendering every small area on this artwork took ages. I think making this artwork was like round about 20 hours, but it was completely worth it. And sadly, when I was finished with this artwork, my art book has already been printed, so I couldn't include it, which kind of makes me sad because, like I said, I love Metroid, and I think this one turned out quite good. But when I'm releasing another art book sometime in the future, this one is gonna be included. That's like a must-have. Now, there are a lot of other artworks that I still have, but there is one last artwork that I wanted to show to you guys. It's something that I made on a tablet, not with watercolors, not with Copics, and it's this Undertale artwork that I've made. Undertale is my favorite single video game of all time. I love everything about it, and so I wanted to make like a tribute fan art that kind of sums up Undertale the way I perceived it, the way I came to love it, all the characters that are special to me. And here as well, there's also tons of Easter eggs I put in this. Be it like the yellow flower petals. You can also kind of spot Gaster if you're like incredibly thorough. Papyrus with his spaghetti. Of course, the heart that kind of represents the player. I have no idea how much time I spent on this, but to be honest, I also don't care because I enjoyed every second of making this artwork. I was also a bit scared of making this artwork because, you know, it was like my ultimate love letter to this game, so it had to be good. And I don't know about you guys, but the way this came out, I think this kind of screams love letter. So yeah, also definitely one of my favorites, if not my favorite digital one. And now all that's left for me to say is thank you very much. Not even for purchasing my art book or for subscribing and stuff, just for, you know, sticking around, for caring about my artworks, for like my videos, for me in general. I didn't think my English channel would be this successful, to be quite honest, but you guys proved me wrong, and I'm happy about that. I'm going to continue making tutorials very soon, stick around for that. I'd appreciate if you would like this video or leave a nice comment. You can even go the extra mile and support me on Patreon, but of course you don't have to. I'm just, you know, happy about you guys sticking around. See ya in the next video, very soon. Goodbye.